Hello there. Welcome to a presentation on the building project at St George's Church. This video is just designed to give you a bit of an idea of what we're going to be doing in the project, why we're doing this project, and why we need support with the financial side of the project. So the first thing we're looking at here is the missional context, so the context in which we're carrying out mission in the church at present. And this first graph, taken from the mission statistics that the Church of England put together from our recordings, the first graph shows us the average weekly attendance in October from 2014 to 2023, split down into age categories. There's probably a few things to note. First of all, I think 2022 is a data error. We don't have suddenly had nearly 145 people coming every week on average in October in 2022. So I think that was probably an error. So if we discount 2022, the pattern we see is one of numerical stability, really, since 2014, and sort of modest growth from 2018. Both of those are really encouraging, especially in the wider context of the Church of England. This second graph is taken from the same location from the Church of England stats, and it's the percentage of children worshipping from 2014 to 2023. And the three lines are usual Sunday attendance, average weekly attendance in October, and worshipping community, which is sort of the fullest way of recording people. And what we can see is that in all three ways of measuring the church community, we're seeing significant increase in the number of young people worshipping with us, which is really important for our long-term viability as a church, that we're seeing children coming in and joining in our worship. And we know from our own experience that this is mostly children under the age of 12. And this final graph is taken again from the same place, this time looking at numbers from 2016 to 2023, and it looks at the whole of the church community broken down into age groups. So roughly speaking, we have children, working age adults, and those who are over 70. And the thing I want to draw your attention to is that not only do we see an increase in the number of children worshipping with us, but we've also seen an increase in the number of what the Church of England would consider, at least, of working age adults, which again is really important, because as we look to see the church grow and to remain sort of viable and stable, we need not just children coming to children's activities, but whole families coming to family-based activities. And that's what we are seeing currently within the parish. And this has all been done through long-term family-focused ministry. So we've been working, yes, focused on work with children. So we've got Kingdom Tots, Kingdom Kids, but also ministries that are focused at families, both church ministries, All In and Kingdom Builders, but also things that we know support parents, the Food Hub, the Oasis Cafe. So it's not just working with under 18s, but working with whole families, seeing people within their whole community, and that this focus on these ministry areas has had an impact on how we've been doing as a parish more broadly. So that's the really good news, that by focusing on family ministry, we have seen the number of families worshipping with us grow. However, there is a problem. This is the graph of giving and gift aid between 2014 and 2023. The purple boxes are planned giving, and obviously planned giving is what's most useful to us in terms of supporting ministry, because we know, or we can plan more effectively on how much we will have as an income for the church. and therefore we can run recruitment and staffing and set aside budgets for ministries based on the planned giving. And as you look at the purple bars and at the totals, indeed, you can see that those are gradually declining, and similarly gift aid slowly declining. So we've been doing ministry that has effectively grown the areas of the church that we need to be seeing grow, and we've been doing this when the wider national context is of steady church decline in numbers, and especially in young people. However, we have not got at the moment the financial resources to be able to sustain this ministry long term. We're achieving it now because we've got grant funding, but the grant funding will come to an end. And so the question we have is, we have fruitful ministry, we do not have the financial means to support it long term, so how can we support that ministry financially in order to see that fruit continuing to be brought in and harvested, as it were? The good news is that we do think we have a solution. And the solution is to use the largest underutilized resource we have, which is the land the church has been built on. The building project, roughly outlined in this image, is designed to release the value of the land so that we can improve the facilities of the church building and fund our ministry. However, the plan pictured here is no longer possible due to local planning ordinances. Essentially, there's an area of outstanding natural beauty. They've drawn a 9-mile circle, or a circle with a 9-mile diameter from that place, because there's a specific beetle that needs to be preserved, and therefore housing density is kept lower within that 9-mile circle, and that unfortunately just includes us, and therefore we will not be able to build the 11 houses pictured here, and instead are now expecting to put in a planning application for 9 houses. So 2 houses fewer in the building project means that there's significantly less profit potential in the building project. And because we've therefore lost value in the land, there are therefore limits on what we can do. So to get the best out of the best value for the church from the land, we need to get the planning permission ourselves so that we can take a complete project to a potential developer in order that they or that more than one developer can hopefully see the potential, see the plans all there and approved, see the scope for making money from the land, and compete with one another for how much money they're willing to give us. And we get that by having planning permission so that they can be confident that the money they invest in building will all sort of go ahead. There won't be hiccups with the planners along the way. So to get to planning, obviously we're going to have to spend money. And we do have a fairly good idea about what planning will cost. I'm going to show you now 2 pie charts of cost estimates. This first chart comes from our architects, Leap Architects, and it shows the various costs that they have mapped out for getting to planning. So there are architectural services, that main block, which is the money required to do a detailed plan with 9 houses on instead of the plans that we have with 11 houses. There's project management costs, design costs. There are also some fees in here that we wouldn't necessarily need to spend. So there is on here £9,850 as part of applying for grants, which is good to do, but we don't have to do it. As an aside, for the building project that we have now, we've spoken to a grant funding consultant who thinks we could earn a confidence that we could earn £300,000 in grants for that building, with the possibility of earning more if we're lucky and less obviously if we're unlucky. So those are the costs from Leap. And whilst we're very confident in those costings from LEAP, there are a couple of things that they aren't able to include. So that money that LEAP have asked or have said we need the 130,000, we're confident that those costs will exist. There are other costs that we're aware of, and this pie chart shows the inclusion of some of those other costs that we know are coming. So we've included here the 104,424 of LEAP architecture costs, the £30,242 of other costs that they had in that previous pie chart, and then we've also added in the 19,000 odd pounds of estimated what LEAP have as unknown costs. So that includes surveys, ecology work, planning application fee, which we think, you can see how much we think that comes to. We've also included £8,000 worth of legal fees, so the price that we will pay for contracts to be overseen and make sure we're doing everything correctly. And then finally, the last wedge there of 13,800 odd is contingency. That's based on 5% of LEAP costs, where we are fairly confident, and 15% of other costs where we have less confidence. So we reach a total of £176,032 as our estimate of the cost of getting through planning. So reasonably, we were asked during the presentation, okay, those are the planning costs, what are the building costs? The answer is that at this point, as we'll go on to talk about, we're not entirely sure, because we're not sure yet what the building would be. But it's not that we haven't looked at the costs, it's that we're not sure what we're going to build. But this is a breakdown of some of those building costs. Mostly this is just here to show you that we've looked at it and we've been processing through it carefully. But these numbers are wrong, because that's not the building we're going to be building, and we'll talk about why just now. So those numbers were wrong because they were based on a form of funding that we're no longer going to be using, because it didn't provide great value for us. We're now in a position where we're most likely to be selling the land to a developer and drawing up a contract, if we work with the right developer, that does give us a share of the profits from the sale of the housing at the end. And in order to get the most out of this, we'd probably be anticipating taking our payment for the land for as long as possible, so that the building developer doesn't have to borrow money to pay us, and therefore we both save in the financing costs of borrowing money. So our plan A is that the sale of the land and the share of the profits will fund both the building of a church and the funding of ministry, that will then allow the ministry to have great facilities to use, which will see the church grow with long-term stability. That is our aim. That is what we're working towards. However, there is risk that the sale of the land will not be able to fund both church building facilities and ongoing ministry costs. So we have been thinking fairly carefully about the compromises that we could utilise instead. So we could, for example, instead of using the sale of the land to fund both a new building and ministry costs, we could perhaps buy some type of facility off-site, still within the parish, still near to the church building, but a different building, maybe some terraced housing or a commercial facility that we could use for ministry, and that would still leave us with enough funds to support ministry costs. There are some compromises and some benefits of doing that. We still are able to make best use of the facilities. I think by funding ministry and providing those facilities, we'd still see church growth. However, obviously having another sort of area can lead to a sense of disconnection. We've already got 2 church buildings in the parish. I think most of us would recognise that there is a distinction between those who meet in those different buildings. We'd have limited space. The chances are that any facility we bought, if it was less expensive, would be less expensive for a reason. It would probably be smaller, and there's complex management involved in buying another building. A third compromise, or a second compromise, a third plan that we've looked at, is that what would happen if the sale of the land was just enough to fund ministry and not to purchase another facility at all. Well, I think funding ministry is still really important. Even if that's the only thing we're able to do, it still enables additional ministry to make the best use of our facilities, and I think we would still see the church grow. However, again, there are significant compromises. The scout hut will have to be removed in the sale of the land in any situation, and if we're not buying or building new facilities, then we're sharing our facilities with the scouts, would have to be our assumption. And there's not a problem with sharing our facilities, except that it does limit what we can do, and obviously the time and space they would have access to our facilities. It means that we're working with limited space, and we're also losing the solid asset of a building. I think most of us would probably understand that a building will increase in value, or land will increase in value over time, and if we're not able to use the sale of the land to build a new building, then that's a growth that we would be missing out on. So those are our 3 options, or 3 possible scenarios, and as I think I've said, the best scenario, the best way forward, is the one in which we get the best return on the land, and we're more likely to get a greater return on the land if we have got planning permission and can go to building developers with land, with planning permission, with a project ready to go that they can see the profitability of, and therefore sort of compete for access to that profitable plan. But for us to get to planning permission, we have to raise money to do that. And the more we can raise ourselves, the less expensive it will be, because if we have to go to Kingdom Bank or the Charity Bank and borrow money from them, it will be a significant rate of interest. So the actions that we'd invite you to consider are these 4, and I'm going to talk about them not in the order they're there, because that would be too easy. The first one is, if you're able to give, that would be amazing. Giving at this point to the building project enables us to get the work done that needs to be done now, and opens up all sorts of possibilities for the future. If you're not already giving to the general work of the church, I think, if I'm honest, I'd invite you first of all to start giving to the general work of the church. But if you are giving to the church and you can see that the fruit of the ministry we're doing at the moment, and you want to support that long term, then giving now would help with that. The other way that we could talk about giving long term is bequests. I have a slide that I'll talk about in a little bit when we've finished doing this bit on how bequests work. But bequests are helpful because they will ensure that in the future, especially if you let us know that the bequest is there, that we're able to, again, to plan for how we're spending money now. If we have to borrow money, then bequests would help us to perhaps pay off the sort of the capital of any borrowing, whilst giving could help us deal with any interest costs of the borrowing. So giving, bequests, support. If you are, or if you know someone who is experienced in project management, in building legal things, in lawyery things, in planning things, any way in which you think, oh, I know all about that, please do feel free to offer support. The team and I who are looking after this project, we care deeply about it, we're passionate about it. Some of the folk on the team who have been working on this project for many, many, many years. So there's a lot of learned understanding, but if you've got expertise, please do offer it. And finally, investing. If we borrow from a commercial lender, it will cost us probably between 7 and 11% in borrowing. If you were able to invest money with us and at a reduced rate, perhaps 3% in line with inflation, 4%, but get a bit of growth in your money. If you're able to invest in us, use your money to both grow for yourself and to enable us to do ministry, that would be great. If you want to do that, or if you want to give to the building project, what I'd like you to do is, and there'll be lots of times when there'll be sort of space to, I'll read these all out and show you them in various church things, but we've got a new email address, buildingfund@cheneysbenefice.org. That will just be read by one person who's on the PCC, a trusted person. He will collate all the offers of investment and bring them to the PCC. So what I'd like to do is write to that email address, say, hi, I'd love to have to invest this much money over this time period at this interest rate. As a PCC, we will then see those offers without your name attached, so we won't know who's making that offer, and we will hopefully be able to accept many of them. How will you get paid back? So as I said, what we're working towards now is working with a developer where we would sell the land and not take our payment until the end of the project, so that there weren't finance costs. So you could choose either to be paid back once the sale of the land had been completed, and we would say to a developer, we'll take the bulk of our money at the end, but we need, say we borrowed all through people watching this video, we need £117,000 now to pay back our investors. Then we could have that. It would cost us a little bit more in finance costs, but that's fine, so we can do it that way. Or if you wanted the investment to last longer, we could pay you back once the church had been paid at the end of the building project. And again, please do say within your offer how you'd like to do that, and we will work with each person who's thinking of investing individually. If you've got more questions and you want more detail, please do just let us know. So the three financial options: giving, investing, bequesting, practical support. But please, if you're not able to do any of the rest of those, please do be praying for us. There's a real possibility that we'll be able to use this land to lay a really good starting point for ministry going into the 2030s, I suppose, realistically, once all the buildings are made and the funding is released, that the church will have a real clear route to growing and thriving and blessing our community and glorifying God in this place. And I'd love for you to be praying for that all of the complexities are navigable with the help of the Holy Spirit. So I did say I would show you more information about bequests. So this is stolen from Erwin Mitchell, the solicitor's website. So thank you, Erwin Mitchell, for having a website with information on it. I'll let you read that. So I think that the important thing there is that if you're already thinking of giving more than 4% or more of your estate to charity, then giving more money both gets more money to the charities that you want to support and gives more money to the beneficiaries. of your estate. So if you are already planning to give, giving more could save you money, which is a great position to be in for a charity person to talk about. So I'd really encourage you that if you are if you've not written a will and you own a house, and you should really write a will. First thing. Secondly, if you're going to write a will and you're going to give some money to charity, please talk to the person who's writing a will about how much would work for you. And if giving more money will save you money, please do consider saving yourself money by giving, or your beneficiaries money by giving some money to the church. It could really be a lasting gift to the church that enables ministry to flourish long after many of us hopefully have gone to glory. Well, thank you for giving time to listen to this. I hope you haven't found my voiceover skills too lamentable or too irritating. We would, at the presentation sessions, we had time now for questions. I'm afraid I haven't recorded those questions to play them back for you. But I imagine that if you've listened to this and you're thinking of giving, you've got questions. So there's another email address, buildinginfo@cheneysbenefice.org, you can email there, and there's a few of us looking at it, so if you've got questions you can email them in as you think of them, or obviously if you see me or if any of the building team around and about, feel free just to ask us those questions. We'll do our best to answer them, or to get hold of the folk that we're working with if it's a more technical question. There are some deadlines, so if you're thinking of giving or investing in this project, we need to know, in order to know what to do next, by the end of January. So about 10 days from as I'm recording this, on the 21st, so by the end of January, that's your deadline. So you'll hear me pestering in various different places and times between now and then. So thank you for listening. I'm very grateful for your time, and hopefully see you soon. Bye bye.